Aemilianus, also known as Marcus Aemilius Aemilianus, was the 41st emperor of the Roman Empire. His reign, though brief, was marked by significant political turmoil and military conflict. Aemilianus's rise to power and his rapid fall demonstrate the unstable and chaotic nature of the Roman Empire during the crisis of the 3rd century. Aemilianus was born around 207 CE, although the exact details of his early life remain unclear. He was of humble origins and his family was not part of the Roman aristocracy. It is believed that Aemilianus had a military background which played a crucial role in his ascent to power. Before becoming emperor, he held various positions within the Roman army, gaining a reputation as a capable officer. His service included commanding legions in the Danubian region, a critical area of the empire during this period. He was likely involved in the empire's defense against various barbarian groups in the northern provinces. Aemilianus's brief reign occurred during the crisis of the 3rd century, a period characterized by internal instability, military anarchy, economic decline, and external threats. The empire was beset by frequent changes of emperor, with multiple claimants to the throne. This period was also marked by rampant military usurpation, where generals and army commanders would often declare themselves emperor, leading to civil war and widespread unrest. The crisis began after the death of Emperor Severus Alexander in 235 CE, which triggered a series of rapid changes in leadership. From 235 to 284 CE, the empire had numerous emperors, many of whom ruled for only a short time before being overthrown, killed, or assassinated. This created a political environment where military leaders had significant power, as the legions often had more control over imperial succession than the Senate. In 253 CE, the Roman Empire was facing significant challenges. Emperor Trebonianus Gallus ruled alongside his son Volusianus, but their reign was marked by military defeats and economic problems. The empire was under pressure from external threats, including attacks by the Goths in the Balkans. Gallus's failure to address these issues led to widespread discontent within the army. Aemilianus was a general stationed along the Danube frontier, where he was in charge of defending the empire from incursions by barbarian groups. He was part of the Roman military's response to the increasing threat posed by the Goths, and during this time his military skills and leadership began to gain recognition. In 253 CE, the situation in the empire worsened, and Gallus's failures led to his downfall. The army, dissatisfied with Gallus's leadership, proclaimed Aemilianus emperor. He was supported by the legions stationed in the provinces of Illyricum and Pannonia, where he had garnered considerable influence. Aemilianus's rise to power was typical of the military usurpations that marked the crisis of the 3rd century. He marched toward Rome, where he intended to seize control of the imperial throne. Aemilianus's reign was brief, lasting only about 3 months. After the military revolt against Gallus, Aemilianus entered Rome in mid-253 CE and assumed the imperial title. His reign, however, was not marked by any significant policy reforms or military victories. Instead, his rule focused on consolidating his position, though this was ultimately unsuccessful. The shortness of his reign means that few concrete achievements or records of his policies exist, and much of what is known about his reign comes from later sources. The primary challenge to Aemilianus's authority came from the provinces. In particular, Gaius Vibius Trebonianus Gallus, the son of the previous emperor Gallus, was still alive and in command of a powerful faction in the eastern provinces of the empire. Aemilianus was unable to secure his position and faced down the challenges from other factions of the Roman military. While Aemilianus briefly held power in Rome, the situation outside the capital was not in his favor. During his short reign, Aemilianus faced a growing threat from Valerian, who was commanding legions in the east and had been a rival claimant to the throne. Valerian's forces marched toward Rome, and Aemilianus's forces, already strained and demoralized, could not resist. As Valerian's army approached, the troops loyal to Aemilianus mutinied, likely due to dissatisfaction with his rule and the pressure from the advancing forces of Valerian. In 253 CE, Aemilianus was assassinated by his own soldiers, likely in a coup orchestrated by those loyal to Valerian. His death marked the end of his short reign. After his assassination, Valerian succeeded Aemilianus as emperor. Aemilianus's legacy is primarily defined by the brief nature of his reign and the instability of the period in which he ruled. While his reign was short and lacked significant accomplishments, it underscores the volatile nature of the Roman Empire during the crisis of the 3rd century. The empire was deeply fractured during this time, and emperors like Aemilianus were often the products of military discontent rather than legitimate succession. His reign reflects the constant power struggles within the Roman military, where military leaders could rise to power, but their positions were fragile and dependent on the loyalty of their troops. Moreover, Aemilianus's brief rule is indicative of the larger political instability and military anarchy that would characterize the Roman Empire until the reign of Emperor Diocletian, who initiated reforms that helped stabilize the empire by the end of the 3rd century. In terms of numismatics, Aemilianus issued coins during his short reign, some of which have been preserved and provide a glimpse into his imperial imagery. These coins depicted him in a manner consistent with other emperors of the period, and they were used to help solidify his legitimacy despite the fact that his reign was brief and ultimately unsuccessful. Aemilianus, the 41st emperor of Rome, serves as a reminder of the fragility of imperial power during the crisis of the 3rd century. His rise to power was through military support, and his downfall came just as quickly, driven by internal rivalries and external pressures. Although his reign lasted only a few months, it reflects the larger political instability of the time and the challenges faced by the Roman Empire as it struggled to maintain cohesion amidst continuous military usurpations and invasions by foreign enemies. His reign ended with his assassination, and Valerian succeeded him, continuing the cycle of short-lived emperors that defined the era until the eventual reforms of Diocletian. Aemilianus's story is a testament to the precarious nature of imperial rule during one of the most tumultuous periods in Roman history.